My girlfriend said, "I just need time to figure myself out." I quietly replied, "Take all the time you need." 6 months later, out of nowhere, she texted, "I miss you terribly." I answered, "You probably won't find me where I am anymore." Right after that, she sent a photo, and seeing it made my breath catch. I'm 35, and I thought I had my life figured out. Emma and I had been together for 4 years, living together for 2 of those. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I believed. She was 32, worked in marketing, had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. We talked about marriage, kids, the whole package. I'd even started looking at rings, had a Pinterest board of proposal ideas hidden on my phone. Then one Tuesday evening in March, she came home with that look. You know the one. The "we need to talk" face that makes your stomach drop and your hands go cold. "I just need time to figure myself out," she said, standing in our living room, arms crossed defensively. "It's not you. I don't know who I am anymore." I remember staring at her, waiting for more. Some explanation that made sense. Some concrete reason why 4 years together suddenly wasn't enough. But that was it. 4 years condensed into one tired cliché that people use when they don't want to tell you the real truth. "How much time?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. "I don't know. Maybe a few months. I think we should take a break. A break, not a breakup. A break. Like we were a TV show going on hiatus and she could just pick up the remote and resume whenever she felt like it." I could have argued, could have demanded answers, begged her to reconsider, made promises to change whatever needed changing. Instead, I just nodded slowly and said, "Take all the time you need." The look on her face, relief mixed with surprise, told me everything I needed to know. She'd expected a fight, maybe even wanted one to justify whatever decision she'd already made. She moved out that weekend, took her clothes, her books, her ridiculous collection of scented candles, that ugly lamp her mom gave us that I secretly hated but pretended to love. The apartment felt massive and empty without her stuff everywhere, like a museum of our relationship with all the exhibits removed. I spent the first week in a fog, going through the motions. Work, gym, home, repeat. My friends kept asking if I was okay. I kept saying yes, even though I wasn't sure what okay even meant anymore. The first month was the hardest. I'd catch myself buying her favorite yogurt at the grocery store. I'd start to text her something funny, then remember mid-sentence that I had no right to her attention anymore. But I didn't reach out. I meant what I said. She could have all the time she needed. I wasn't going to be that guy who begged and pleaded and made himself smaller trying to convince someone to love him. By month 2, something shifted. I started actually living again instead of just existing in the spaces between sleep. Joined a climbing gym, something I'd always wanted to try but Emma thought was too dangerous. Reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during the relationship, guys from college who'd stopped inviting me out because I always said no. Started reading again, something I'd abandoned years ago when Netflix and her preferences took over our evenings. I felt lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying weight I didn't know was there, like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally remembered how to exhale. Month 3, my buddy Marcus dragged me to a dinner party at his sister's place. That's where I met Sarah. She was 33, recently divorced, brutally honest in a way that was refreshing after Emma's constant need to soften everything, and had this dry wit that caught me completely off guard. We ended up talking on the back porch for 3 hours while everyone else played board games inside. We exchanged numbers, started texting. Nothing serious, just conversations that didn't feel forced or performative. By month 4, Sarah and I were seeing each other regularly. Not officially dating. We both agreed we weren't ready for labels or expectations, but it was something. She got it. Understood the weird limbo of not quite being over someone, but moving forward anyway, because staying stuck felt worse. Month 5, I got a promotion at work. Nothing massive, but it came with a significant raise and the option to relocate to our Seattle office. I'd always wanted to live in the Pacific Northwest, the mountains, the water, the gray skies that Emma always complained about, but I found peaceful. The timing felt perfect, like the universe finally aligned. I accepted immediately, put in my notice on the apartment, and started planning the move for late September. I didn't tell Emma. Why would I? She'd asked for space to figure herself out. I was giving her that space and figuring myself out in the process. We weren't together. I owed her nothing. Then came the text. 6 months to the day after she left, my phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Emma's name lit up my screen, a name I'd thought about removing from my contacts 100 times but never did. I miss you terribly. I stared at those 4 words for a solid minute. Felt absolutely nothing. No flutter of hope, no surge of anger, no bitter satisfaction. Just nothing. An emptiness where feelings used to live. I typed back, "You probably won't find me where I am anymore." 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. I could picture her on the other end, typing and deleting, trying to find the right words. Then a photo came through. It was her, standing in front of our old apartment building. Except it wasn't ours anymore. I'd moved out 2 weeks prior, was currently crashing at my friend Dave's place until my flight to Seattle. She was holding flowers, yellow roses that used to be my favorite, dressed in that blue dress I'd always loved, the one she wore on our first real date. She was looking at the camera with tears streaming down her face, mascara running, hair disheveled like she'd been crying for hours. My phone rang instantly. I considered not answering, but curiosity won. "What do you mean I won't find you?" Her voice cracked, raw and desperate. "I moved out. I'm leaving for Seattle in 3 days." Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then, "Seattle? What? You can't just leave. You can't just abandon everything. Can't I?" "You left first, Emma. 6 months ago. You walked out and asked me not to follow. I thought you'd wait for me. I thought you'd be here when I was ready." I actually laughed. Not cruel, just genuinely surprised by the audacity. "Wait for what? You never said you were coming back. You said you needed time to figure yourself out. So I figured myself out too. Turns out I figured out a lot. Are you seeing someone?" The question came out sharp, accusatory, like she had any right to be angry. "That's really none of your business anymore." "Oh my God, you are. Who is she? Do I know her? How long has this been going on?" "Emma, why did you text me tonight? Why now, after 6 months of silence?" "Because I realized I figured it out. I figured out that I was running from the best thing in my life. I was scared of commitment, scared of losing myself in a relationship, so I sabotaged us. But I've been in therapy, working through my issues with my therapist, and I'm ready now. I'm ready for everything we talked about. Marriage, kids, the house in the suburbs, all of it." "That's great," I said, and I meant it. "I'm genuinely happy you did that work. But I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I'm not waiting at the finish line of your self-discovery journey. Please don't do this. Come meet me. Let's talk about this face to face. You owe me that much after 4 years together." "I owe you?" "Emma, I gave you what you asked for. Space. Time. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't show up at your work or your friends' places demanding answers. I respected your decision completely. Now you need to respect mine." "So, that's it? 4 years means nothing to you? You can just throw it all away?" 4 years meant everything, but you ended them. Not me. You don't get to come back 6 months later and demand I put my life on pause because you finally decided you made a mistake. Update 1. She wouldn't stop calling. 12 times that night alone. Then the texts started coming in waves. Apologies, accusations, memories of our best moments together, promises of change, threats to show up wherever I was. I didn't respond to any of them. Each notification felt like a ghost trying to claw its way back into my life. The next morning, she showed up at Dave's apartment. I have no idea how she got the address, probably from my Instagram story where Dave tagged the location like an idiot. I was loading boxes into my car when I saw her walking up the driveway, looking like she hadn't slept, still wearing that blue dress from the photo. 5 minutes, she said, breathless from running or crying or both. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. Dave, watching from the doorway with his coffee, raised his eyebrows at me in a "do you need backup" kind of way. I nodded at him that it was okay, that I could handle this. 5 minutes, I agreed, checking my watch. We sat in my car. She immediately grabbed my hand. Her palm was cold and sweaty. I let her mostly because I was too tired to pull away. I made a mistake, she started, words tumbling out fast. The biggest mistake of my life. I was selfish and scared and stupid. But people make mistakes, and people deserve second chances. We deserve a second chance. What happened? I asked calmly. Why now? Why exactly 6 months to the day? She looked away, staring at Dave's neighbor watering their lawn. There was someone else. There it was. The real truth under all the self-discovery bullshit. His name was Kyle. I met him at a work conference in February, right before I asked for the break. We talked all night at the hotel bar and I felt this spark. This excitement I hadn't felt in years. I convinced myself that meant we weren't right, that I needed to explore this feeling. So I came home and asked for the break, and Kyle and I started seeing each other the next week. I pulled my hand away slowly. You already had someone lined up when you asked for the break. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You wanted to test drive a new relationship without fully ending ours. Keep me as a backup plan in case it didn't work out. No. I genuinely thought I had feelings for him. Real feelings. But it fizzled out after 3 months. He was all wrong. Too immature, too self-centered, too obsessed with his CrossFit routine. Nothing like you. And when it ended, when he dumped me actually, I realized what I'd given up. I've spent the last 3 months in therapy twice a week, trying to fix what's broken in me so I could come back to you whole. That's really brave, I said, truly. I hope therapy helps you, but I'm not interested in being your consolation prize after your adventure didn't work out the way you planned. You're not a consolation prize. You're the love of my life. I know that now. Then you should have treated me like it 6 months ago instead of trading me in for a guy with abs. She started sobbing, that kind of crying where your whole body shakes and you can't catch your breath. Part of me, a small part that remembered 4 years of loving her, felt bad, but a larger part felt absolutely nothing. That realization was freeing in a way I didn't expect. Is it serious with her? The new girl? Emma asked through tears, mascara now completely destroyed. It's none of your business, but no, it's not serious. We're taking things slow, being honest about where we are, but that's also not why I'm leaving. I'm leaving because Seattle was always a dream of mine that I put on hold. For us, for your career here, for your family being nearby. Now there's no us, so there's no reason to put my life on hold anymore. I put my life on hold too. I turned down opportunities because of us. That job offer in New York, remember? Then I guess we're both free now to chase what we actually want instead of what we think we should want. I got out of the car. She followed, stumbling a bit, grabbing my arm hard enough to leave marks. Please, please don't go. Or if you have to go, let me come with you. I'll quit my job, I'll move, I'll do whatever it takes, I'll be better. I'll be the person you need. Emma, stop. You don't want to move to Seattle. You hate rain, you hate cold weather, you hate being away from your family. You want to rewind time. I can't give you that. Nobody can. She collapsed against my car, sliding down to sit on the pavement, still crying hysterically. Dave came over, shot me a concerned look that said this was getting out of hand. Should I call someone for her? He whispered. Call her sister, I said, pulling up the number on my phone. Tell her Emma needs a ride, and maybe shouldn't be alone today. I walked inside without looking back, heard her crying turn into screaming my name, heard Dave's calm voice trying to soothe her. I packed the last box, loaded it into the car, and left through the back door. Update 2. I've been in Seattle for 3 weeks now. The job is challenging in the best way. Actual problems to solve, competent co-workers, a boss who respects boundaries. I found an apartment in Capitol Hill with a view of the water if you crane your neck just right. The rent is absurd, but worth it for the location. Sarah visited last weekend. We spent Saturday exploring Pike Place Market and pretending to be tourists, watching them throw fish and eating overpriced chowder. It was easy, comfortable. No pressure to be anything other than what we are. Emma texted me twice more after I left. The first time, apologizing for the scene at Dave's place, saying her sister got her home safely and she started seeing her therapist 3 times a week now. The second time, a week later, a long message saying she understood why I left, that she didn't blame me and wished me well. I responded with a simple, "Thank you. I wish you well too." That was it. Clean ending, no loose threads. Dave told me she deleted all her social media a few days after I left. Her sister apparently said she's throwing herself into work and therapy, trying to move forward instead of backward. Good for her. I mean that genuinely. I hope she finds whatever she was looking for. My mom asked if I had any regrets when I called her last Sunday. I thought about it for a while before answering, really sat with the question. Maybe I regret not seeing the signs earlier, the way she'd grown distant in those months before the break, the way she'd stopped making plans for our future, how she'd started dressing differently and staying late at work. But I don't regret how I handled the ending. I gave her what she asked for, and in doing so, I gave myself permission to move on too. Sarah asked me last night if I was over Emma. We were lying in bed, her place, after watching a terrible movie neither of us paid attention to. I told her the truth. I'm over the version of us that I thought we were. That person and that relationship don't exist anymore. We both made sure of that. She nodded, squeezed my hand. Good. Because I'm starting to really like the person you are now. Just starting? I teased. Don't push your luck. Final update. It's been 3 months since the Seattle move. Emma got engaged. I saw it on a mutual friend's Instagram story. She didn't tag her, probably out of respect, but I recognized the restaurant, the ring, even the dress. Different guy, not Kyle. Someone named Michael from her gym, apparently. Good for her. I hope this time she's sure, hope she doesn't blow up his life when she gets scared. Sarah and I made it official. No dramatic declarations, just a quiet conversation one morning over coffee about deleting dating apps and introducing each other as partners instead of someone I'm seeing. She's moving here in January, already accepted a position at a firm downtown. We're looking at 2-bedroom apartments, talking about getting a dog. I ran into Dave last month when I flew back for Marcus's wedding. He said Emma asked about me once, around the time she got engaged. Wanted to know if I was happy. He told her yes, without elaborating. She cried, then smiled, then said that's what she wanted from me. Maybe that's true. Maybe she genuinely wishes me well. Or maybe she just wants to believe her leaving led to everyone's happiness, not just her chaos and my eventual relief. Either way, it doesn't matter anymore. She's a character in a story I used to tell myself about who I was. Someone at the wedding asked me if I'd do anything differently if I could go back. I said no, without hesitation. Not because everything worked out perfectly, but because I wouldn't want to be the person who begged someone to stay when they'd already mentally left. That person loses twice. Once when they're abandoned, and again when they sacrifice their dignity trying to prevent the inevitable. You can't make someone choose you, and you shouldn't have to. When Emma said she needed time, what she really needed was permission to explore other options without guilt. I gave her that permission by actually letting her go instead of hovering in the background, hoping she'd change her mind. making myself available for whenever she decided to come back. She did change her mind, just 6 months too late. By then, I'd changed too, into someone who knew his worth, who understood that take all the time you need sometimes means take forever, I'm not waiting. Someone who wouldn't pause his entire life for a maybe. The photo she sent that night still pops into my head sometimes. Her standing there with flowers, crying, expecting me to be in that apartment waiting. Part of me wonders what would have happened if I had been there, if I'd opened the door and let her back in. But that's a movie I don't need to watch. I already know how it ends. Edit. For everyone asking about Sarah, she's not a rebound. We were both honest from day one about where we were emotionally, what we could and couldn't offer. Sometimes the right person shows up at a weird time, and you just figure it out together without forcing anything. Edit 2. And no, I didn't send Emma my new address or wedding invitation. She has my number if there's ever a real emergency. That's enough.